Hello, I'm Lori Slater. Welcome to Indie TV, the Northwest Independent Filmmaker Show. This show is dedicated to all those hard-working local artists in hopes of shedding light and knowledge in regards to the upcoming efforts. This is our second episode. Throughout the preceding episodes, we will interview filmmakers and even attend their premieres. We will start new segments including Tech Talk, where we will cover the do's and don'ts of filmmaking so that we can help each other spread knowledge of these beneficial filmmaking techniques. If you would like to be on the show in the future, please contact our producer at the email address below. Today, we have two special guests with us to talk about a new film called Burnside that they recently completed and was successfully premiered at the Hollywood Theater. Please welcome Cameron Beyl and Matt J. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
It's great that you came.
It's great to be here.
Listen, can you tell me a little bit about what Burnside is about and how did you guys come up with the idea?
Well, probably the best way to answer that question is to go back to the very beginning, actually. We've been making movies now for about 10 years under our, I guess you could call it a production company, but it's more of a film collective kind of banner called Thunderball Productions. And this being our 10th anniversary this year, 2007, we started in 1997. We thought that we really wanted to do something really special, something really big, something we've never done before, and Burnside just kind of grew out of that naturally.
Oh, that's cool. Well, this kind of leads into the next question. So how did you decide to work on this project together? Was there more than just the 10-year anniversary? Was there something else that kind of triggered the storyline?
Well, we had both actually been thinking of separate stories that we wanted to do. Cameron had his concept for the Jack storyline already floating around in his mind, and I had my storyline for the Asha segment already floating around in my mind. And so Cameron and I sat down and we came up with this idea of you know, this ensemble piece that would intersect many different stories all along the common location of the street of Burnside. And so we took these ideas that we had come up with and realized that they were very fitting to what we wanted to say with Burnside, with the story of Burnside. So it all kind of came together that way.
Great. Well, and that kind of goes into the next question, because you have a lot of great shots showcasing Portland. And how did you come up with that idea, or how did you get all those shots?
Well, basically, the way we've kind of shot all of our films before, it's been part of the films we've done is just showing Portland in the context of the film and kind of making Portland an extra character within the film and making, you know, it part of the movie.
Oh, that's interesting way to think of it.
As that sounds, yeah. But with Burnside, we thought that this would be a great time to really kind of showcase parts of Portland hadn't been seen before, especially parts of Burnside, because it's such a huge artery of Portland life. I mean, so much happens on there, and it runs from all the way on the west end all the way to the east end, and just there's so much that goes on in between that street that it was just a really rich kind of culture with its various subcultures to kind of mine for, you know, dramatic material.
Well, Cameron and I were talking about this a little while ago, actually, and we were just saying, like, the best way to describe it actually is that we often find ourselves making very Portland-centric films.
Oh, okay.
We like to try and really make, you know, our city a character in our films, and not just have our films take place within the city just because, you know, we live here, or it's what we know, but actually try to say something about where we're from.
Yeah, and that's a really unique thing to do, and that was really obvious to me when I watched it. You did some really creative things with the black and white and color and showing flashbacks. How does that tie into the whole context of the film?
Well, that was actually really kind of more of an afterthought in the editing room. I decided that a good motif would be to use the black and white as a flashback in terms when we reference stuff that happened in the past or things you had seen earlier in the film, to kind of visually kind of separate it. And other times it would be for, you know, a more practical reason to kind of cover up some otherwise, you know, footage that wasn't exactly the way we wanted it to be and turned out, just in terms of how it came together in the editing room. I can think of one scene in particular, the scene where Derek forces himself on Asha, where the way it was shot, it didn't come together in the editing room, just in terms of how the scene was originally written. And it really came to the point where it would have drawn things down considerably if we had left it as is, as in the script. And we decided that the best way to do it would be to work around it creatively in terms of creating a different kind of scene.
Well, what a great way to make a mistake into something really creative. That's great. So how did you guys come up with a musical score? Because there's some really interesting music, and also within the movie as well.
Well, it was kind of a two-tier effort, two-fold effort, I guess you could say. In terms of the score, we held an open call on Craigslist. That's actually how we got a majority of people from the movie to contribute, was through Craigslist.
Oh, so they were actually, it was original score, original music from people. It was
original music. Boone Johnson was the score composer for the film.
Oh, okay.
And we met him through Craigslist, and he was selected out of all the people that applied. And he spent this whole last year looking at the footage, out the edits that I would send him, and he would come up with the source material and the music. And what he came up with was just amazing. It was astounding. It was way better than we ever could have imagined. And
well, music can make such a big difference in people watching the film.
It makes all the difference just from the first cut alone, and then seeing the final project. It makes all the difference in the world. And he was even able to secure a live recording session with actual strings and other instruments that normally a lot of these kind of films don't get, which was a huge blessing.
Yeah.
And another thing too is because the movie is a lot about Portland, we decided that we wanted the music to reflect Portland, the songs that weren't necessarily score. We decided to go with all Portland bands, pretty much.
So in the cast was all local. So it was like a real local feel, and also it showcased Portland as well. So it was really a show about Portland in many ways.
Right. We tried to blend all the cultures together into one medium.
Yeah, that's great.
One experience, I guess.
So in addition to producing and directing the film, you guys also had acting parts in the film. How did you find yourselves wearing those different hats, and was that a difficult thing to transition back and forth to?
It was definitely interesting and a little bit difficult. It was a challenge, definitely. Especially for me, I hadn't, well, the way we came up making films together, we really had to act in our own films out of necessity. And so, but the main difference between The Pest and those projects that we acted in before and Burnside, I would definitely say, is just the level of, seriousness that we've grown. You know, this now is a project that we wanted to, really put out to the public and have people see. So there was a lot more responsibility on us as directors. And we also had a lot more knowledge of what our jobs were as directors and the tasks we were supposed to be doing. So balancing, those two duties is an interesting, thing to go through.
And you mentioned actually that you actually didn't direct each other. You self-directed those scenes in the film, which leads to the next question that I find really interesting, because you said that you both wrote the movie, but you wrote it in segments, and you didn't even complete the finished product until you got into the editing room. Right. Can you describe that a little bit?
Well, yeah. I mean, the movie itself is an ensemble drama, but I think it's unlike other ensemble dramas that are they're written together and they're designed a certain way.
So you see the whole script.
Most of these kind of movies intersect with each other, the different storylines, and they weave through everything. We decided that we were going to take the same approach, but in terms of creating the actual storylines, we were going to try something different. I wrote the Jack and the Dusty storyline, and he took care of Asha. And we basically, we wrote each other's we wrote our segments. They're about maybe 30-minute segments apiece. And we wrote them separately, completely separated from each other in terms of the characters and just from the two of us. And then we shot them separately. And when we were shooting each other, like when we were shooting Dusty scenes, I was directing. When we were shooting Asa scenes, he was directing. And bringing everything together didn't really happen until the editing room. And that was kind of just putting the puzzle together as the final element.
Which is a great thing to do, and it's really creative, because I could see that backfiring too if you didn't both have cohesive writing individually. So it's really interesting that you did that.